This is the Free Heel Life Podcast, episode number 105. I'm your host, Josh Madsen, coming at you from the Free Heel Life shop in Salt Lake City, Utah. And it's winter, my people. We're back. So, happy snow to everybody. Pray for snow. Praise the snow gods. And hope you guys are doing some skiing out there. The time has come. So, heading on into December, and couldn't be happier about that. Time just flies. I feel like I think when you're doing the podcast every week, it's really easy to think every time I hop on this thing, I'm like, damn, another week's gone by, another month's gone by, and before you know it, we're going to be through the winter. But we got plenty of skiing ahead of us, and we're just getting started, so I'm psyched about that. Really don't have a whole lot of newsroom and notes today. Be sure to send me your events to podcast@freeheellife.com. Let me know what's going on. I know a lot of you are in your planning sessions, getting the resorts open, all that. We want to know what's going on in your Telemark community so we can help spread the word. Doesn't cost you anything. And just think about it like an underground radio station way of getting out your information to those listeners out there of the Free Heel Life podcast. So, Free Heel Lifers, my guest today, she is a professional winter sports trainer and examiner. She has dedicated half of her life to the study and practice of 3 different winter sports disciplines: ski, snowboard, and telemark. Her first season as a full-time professional was in 2001 in Sierra Nevada, Granada, Spain. She's also worked in France, Switzerland, Argentina, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, and currently lives in Hokkaido, Japan. In 2020, she founded the educational platform We Telemark, which currently is making a movie production called Telemarkeras. The organization is currently based in Niseko, Japan, and has their own set of rental telemark equipment they offer out during their free instructional lessons and clinics. This was a really great conversation. I had a great time talking to someone that's working in Japan right now and what they're up to. And I just love these stories of kind of that entrepreneurial spirit of putting something together, their own organization, and getting something rolling. You know I love that stuff. So please welcome to the podcast, Diana Rivera. All right, Diana, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hello, Josh. Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. This is we like many of my guests, we sometimes it's a little hard to. You're just getting up this morning, and I'm kind of towards the end of my day, so it's good. Making it happen, and yeah, and so you're in Japan right now. What part of Japan are you in?
I am in Hokkaido, North Japan.
That's the spot, isn't it, for skiing?
Yeah. I believe we have 15 hours difference.
Oh, yeah. No, I know. And I mean, literally any time I bring up Japan and skiing, it's you got to go to Hokkaido. I mean, like that's the spot to go. It seems like it just nukes there, as we would say. It snows a lot, right?
When it does, it does. Seriously, nonstop.
Yeah, and so, but I guess just to kind of get right into it, and you're not obviously originally from Japan, so I kind of wanted to start there because you've kind of been you're a world traveler. I mean, you've been kind of all over the place. So I thought maybe the best thing to do is kind of go back to where you grew up. So tell me a little bit about where you're from originally.
I think it's a great start. Yeah, let's go for that. So I was born in Granada, in the south of Spain, up in the Albaicín, and then from there, my family moved to the mountains of Sierra Nevada, the Spanish Sierra Nevada mountain range. Where I went to school, then back to Granada for university. And right after university, I really decided to take on board my childhood dream, which was to become a snowsport instructor. Started my career in Sierra Nevada in Granada, and then I moved from there pretty much.
Yeah, and so did you? So you said your family moved up into the mountains. I mean, did you kind of grow up in a family that was in the outdoors, skiing and hiking and doing that sort of thing, or was that pretty common within your family?
Well, let's say my family is not traditional at all. They've been always really keen to be outdoors in the nature. We kind of lived when I was really little, and even before I was brought into this world. My family used to live in a little community with families from all over pretty much all over Europe. A lot of German people living in the south of Spain, with a lot of kids. So pretty much, I was born there. So I could feel from my early days a lot of mixing culture, a lot of people around me all the time, music, different backgrounds, and everything merging together. And always outside. They used to grow their own vegetable, go a little bit on the edge, like on the side of society. It was early 80s, so when in Spain was pretty much all the movement of hippie times, trying to be a little bit more free after the Spanish situation at that time. So yeah, I think I pretty much grew up outdoors, hiking, camping, sleeping in a tent. And well, my family, no one skis in my family. I'm the only one who skis. So yeah, I've never had the chance to ski with my parents, but my parents used to take me sliding on snow, because the mountains where I grew up, they had snow in winter time. So we used to go with the sledge, and we used to have snow fights and things like that as a family.
Oh, that's so cool. Well, it seems like you kind of grew up in a free-spirited environment. That's amazing.
Exactly, that's how I grew up. Yes.
I love that. That's interesting. So what was your introduction to, before we kind of get into this, be wanting to be like a snow sports professional? I mean, how did you, if no one skied in your family, like how did you get introduced to going to Sierra Nevada and skiing for the first time? How old were you?
Well, back in the day, one of the things that the educational system where I was from was to introduce 1 week skiing for every single kid at school at the age of 6, 7, 8. Around that time, we used to go to the mountains for a week, all organized by the school, primary school. And that's how I got into skiing. That was the first time that I went skiing. I was around 6, 7. And I had an epic time. I really remember very clearly how I was on a tiba and took a tiba with a random person who actually was an instructor, was dressed in an instructor uniform. And I was pretty open when I was a child. So I just straight asked him, what do I need to do to become an instructor? And I was 7, something like that. So this person explained pretty much what it was 30 years ago. And I was kind of, yes, this is what I want to do later. Obviously, I didn't take it on board straight away. It went to the corner of my thoughts, but yeah, at some point it popped out again. So pretty much that was the way, yeah.
So like right at the beginning, you're already asking instructors, hey, how do I do this? That's amazing.
I think I asked that person on my 3rd day, yes. Like
Wow.
if we were 5 days on the mountains, and we were sleeping up on Sierra Nevada in one of the lodges also. And yeah, that was the question I asked. How can I become an instructor?
That's amazing. I love that. And it's cool to see that, 30 years later, you're actually, have pursued that path. And I love that too, because it seems like a lot of people I've talked to, it's those education programs where you get to ski for like 1 week. I was kind of the same way. I just happened to move into the mountains and they took us skiing and that was kind of it, like I think that does, for maybe as short of time period as that seems, it's kind of nice because it actually introduces a lot of people that may come from families that aren't skiers, and gets us into it. So that's cool that they had that there.
I think anything that we do on the early ages, the first 15 years of our life, I think it will guide us through for sure. So it's very important that we learn so many things when we are young, for sure. Yeah.
No, for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, so one question I have is, as a sport, I guess you get done with secondary school, I'm assuming, and then is there in Spain, is there like a degree that you get in college or university that is specific to being a sport trainer professional? Or explain to me what, I mean, did you go the route of school that way, or did you study something else, or how exactly does that all work,
we this as a university degree, you can go to sport science. It's a 5 years degree where you can get a PhD, a master degree. So recognized by the Educational Ministry of Education, and from there you become a coach, and then you can choose which sport you want to be an specialist. No, from there you can go into snow sports. From there, you can choose which of the sports you want to actually be professional at. With that sports science, what you become is a trainer. You could work as a primary school teacher. You could work as a national coach. You could bring people up to the Olympics, right? So through the specification on snow sport, then you go into what is known around the world in this case, it would be the Spanish Winter Sport Association, where you go through all the levels up until you become a national technician. In Spain, there's 3 levels for that. And it is a university degree recognized also by the Ministry of Education. It's a professional degree. And it takes about a minimum of 3-4 years to do it, all around, going to indoor sessions, outdoor sessions, where you study physiognomy, anatomy, like physical movements, mountain awareness, avalanche, and then all the progressions to become a coach. I think it is. So after traveling to many other different countries and after getting involved with other snow sport associations, I believe that the Spanish winter sport career is intense. It's pretty intense, and it covers a lot of information, getting a person professionally ready to face the industry.
Yeah. Wow. Thanks for running us through that. Cause I mean and that's why I wanted you to kind of give a little bit of background, because it's not like you just became a ski instructor, for instance, I mean, obviously you've done that, but I mean, like you said, the intensity of that, I mean, there's a degree, you went to school, you're studying all these other things that go along with understanding sport and physicality and anatomy, like you said. I think that's amazing, and well, so once you kind of had that base degree in Spain, you started, from my understanding, like you started traveling, right? Like you started going to some other countries and actually kept like you said, started becoming part of other snow associations and instructing. Do you want to kind of walk us through kind of like, where did you go to next? I'm kind of curious. Like we said, you're a world traveler, so I'm curious. We obviously know you're in Japan now, but from very beginning in Spain, once you kind of had your base, where did you go from there?
Well, let me get a bracket into them and get back to the previous question. So before I got into this snow sport world, I got my master degree as what did I study? What did I tell you I studied?
Social work.
Yes, exactly. So I got my master degree on social work. And as I was studying at the university for that first degree, I started joining the university team to go up on the mountains, and like the alpinist university team. So we hiked a lot, we climbed a lot, and it was by their hand that I went ski touring for the first time. Yes, I had my experience, my week skiing with school, then another week's cross-country skiing in the following years in school, also organized by school. But then I had a break of winters. I didn't go up to the mountains every weekend like my neighbors used to do. They used to belong to a ski club and stuff like that. I didn't. I used to dance flamenco and ballet when I was a child. I used to go to swimming lesson, and I used to be part of the swimming team at the early ages of university. And then that when I was in university, I went. So I joined this team, and by going with them up to the mountains and discovering other sections like alpinism and climbing, rock climbing, and all that. And when they took me backcountry skiing, so I was pretty strong going uphill. I didn't have any trouble going uphill. A backpack, 20 kilos in the backpack to be able to sleep, to camp on snow and stuff like that. But on the way back after 2 or 3 days up on the mountains, I was struggling. Yes, I knew how to snow plow, turn, and kind of stop, but I wasn't an expert. So, yeah, I think by realizing that I was really struggling on my way down from like steep terrain, not groomed terrain, icy terrain as Sierra Nevada snow could be on a normal year. Then is when I got back to that childhood dream that I said, I actually wanted to become a snow sport instructor, and I am studying social work. So that's how I could say I got into the professional side of the snow sport industry. Yeah, that way, like backcountry skiing with an university team. So after I studied social work is when I went to the mountains, when I did my first couple of winters in Sierra Nevada, where I studied my professional instructing coaching pathway. And then when I realized that I had to get to know other ski resorts, other people, other professional, and study abroad in order to become a more versatile professional. And that's how I got into traveling. I've always wanted to travel anyway and discover the world. And that's how I went to the north of Spain first. And I was based in Baqueira Beret for 5 years in an amazing Spanish region up in the Pyrenees, in the north side of the Pyrenees, but still Spanish territory. And from there, I went to Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, starting to do back-to-back winters in order to get stronger with this career and become more versatile and stronger at skiing, getting to know more. And then I moved to Switzerland, and Switzerland got me into telemarking, and from there I ended up being in Japan, where I thought I would be only one season, and I've been here for 10 years. That's pretty much a summary.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, you've been to a lot of cool places. I've been to a number of those, but it's kind of cool that I like that you sort of started out with the social work thing, and then you just in swimming and flamenco, and then you have this like life kind of like it just changed, right? And you like totally start going down this pathway of just winter, and going back to back to winter, and I'm sure you met some amazing people along the way. I mean, those are some really cool places to go.
Yeah, I fell in love with so many places, for sure. And I wanted to stay in all over those places, but we just can't. We need to choose one.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay, so you hit on the key point. Obviously, kind of how we got to know each other is you learned at Telemark, and I think so. Were you in Saas-Fee when you learned at Tele? Is that where?
Yeah.
Okay.
Saas-Fee on my first season in Switzerland. Yeah.
How did you come across Tele? I mean, you're kind of going down, and because a lot of these places you've talked about going, Argentina, New Zealand, Australia. Yes, there's telemarkers there, but there's not that many. I mean, at least from the experiences I've had going to some of these countries. Switzerland, maybe. I mean, anywhere you go, right? Like, it's a pretty small group of people worldwide. So, what was your introduction in Switzerland? Was it a friend? Was it just improving your instruction and kind of saying, hey, I want to learn another discipline? Walk us through how you bumped in to the old Telemark turn.
Yeah, let's go, for sure. Let's go back to my first season in Sierra Nevada, in Granada, when I was training to pass my exams for my first snow sport degree as a ski instructor at the time. I studied skiing. So my coach, who was also a friend of mine, a coworker also, He was a telemarketer, very passionate, very strong telemarketer. And I remember one of the tasks that I really had to prepare for my exam was short turns down a steep, perfect pitch red run in Sierra Nevada. So we had to do 120 short turns with same rhythm, same shape. And I think at that time I was all over the place, with my short turns. So my friend Xavi, who was the telemarketer, used to guide the shape and the rhythm of my short turns while telemarking backward. So he could look at me and talk to me. That's how I got to see telemark for the first time. So just imagine, just picture it. I am struggling on alpine equipment, going down the hill, face forward, while I see my friend doing backward telemark skiing. So I don't know if I could actually concentrate in what I was doing because I was already amazed with what he was doing. So that's how I got to see telemark for the first time. And since that day, that just picture it, that was my first season, my first ever full season.
That's I'm trying to picture this experience. That's a pretty unique one. Some guy telemark skiing backwards while he's talking to you while you're struggling on alpine skis to make turns.
Yeah, pretty much. Wow. And then since that day is when I said, I am going to learn telemark. I am going to be a strong telemark skier. I was 20 and that was my first winter season. And I was perfectioning my alpine discipline to become an instructor. Yeah. So, and the reason why I studied 10 years after that I studied telemarketing 10 years after in SASFE is because I was never able to find equipment my size.
Just small boots or something?
Small feet, 21.5 Mondo point.
Oh, wow.
So,
yeah, that is difficult. That's really difficult.
Yeah, very small. So I couldn't find no retail shops in Granada where to buy or to rent any equipment my size, for sure. Yeah. I kept on looking for it and I found it like 8 years later when I was in 8-9 years later. I found boots my size in Baqueira Beret in one of the shops in there, and I bought it. At that time, I was already in SASFE, so I bought it. I took it to SASFE. One of my coworkers, Sarah, she was a passionate telemarketer, and she took me telemarketing for the first time. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's so crazy that you had that experience 10 years before, and then it took you 8 years to find equipment and actually start doing it. I mean, that's wild. That's wild. Well, that first experience and then seeing, you probably saw it along the way too, but I mean, obviously something like a lot of us, if you see a really good telemark skier, it's beautiful, and I think certain people just get that urge to do it, and obviously you held on to that idea for long enough until you could actually try it. That's really cool that you finally did it. So, and so you go out with your friend Sarah, and how was the first day? I mean, by this point you're probably, you're a professional instructor of alpine skiing. How was the first day of telemark? Easy, hard, in the middle? Like how would you rate it on a scale of 1 to 10?
Funny. I would say funny. 10. A million. It was very funny, my first experience.
Oh, like 10, like it was a lot harder than you thought it would be?
No, at 10, like I had a lot of fun.
Oh,
So
okay. Got
let's start by how much fun I had before we go into how difficult it was.
it. Two separate categories.
Yes. So at that time, I was an alpine instructor, full cert already at that time, and I was also a snowsport instructor. I used to go my cross country skiing, backcountry skiing. So I had a little bit of awareness, like body awareness, and I've been always very sportive. So the first time I telemark, I didn't think it was difficult. I just thought it was amazingly entertaining and yes, very challenging, but not difficult. My friend took me straight to the Tiba, and the first thing I did was to face plant. That was the first thing I did. As the Tiba pulled me up the hill, right? I wasn't ready.
You got pulled over.
Yes, I knew that my heels were not attached, but I didn't take it into that big consideration. So I face planted. And she took me to the beginners area, to the top of the beginners area, and we started turning straight away. With the combination of all the knowledge that I had, body movements and stuff and I am a fast learner. I think I'm a visual learner. So I looked at her, and I had 10 years actually to look at many different telemarketers around the places where I was skiing or working. So I think I did a few hours with Sarah, had a lot of fun. She explained me a couple of things, and then off I went on my own, everywhere, through trees, off-piste, red runs. I remember I had a goal at that time. I wanted to go all the way top to bottom of the resort, and Sasfe is long, very long. And I wanted to go on Telis non-stop. I've never been able to do that. You had to be strong.
Just too much vertical. It can just consistently that your legs are just burning up.
Yeah, I had to stop in the middle a few times. Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think I'm, let's say I have another goal. I want to go back to Sasfe and Telemark all the way top to bottom. Let's see if I can do it now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, have you been back there since have you been back there recently since you worked there?
I haven't back in Europe. I haven't been back in Europe for a few years, and I haven't worked back in Switzerland since I left 3 years after that season. Yeah, it's in my calendar. I'm going back to Europe, and I'm going back to Switzerland. Yeah,
I like it.
I fell in love with that place.
Well, you obviously have a new goal now of going top to bottom at Sasfe. So
yeah,
I want to hear when you go back and do that. You'll have to remind me and send me a photo and be like, I made it.
I will call you. I will call you for sure as soon as I reach the bottom of the hill, for sure.
And then hopefully you can walk the next day and you're not totally exhausted from just doing it,
Yeah, hopefully. Like, one of the things that I never thought I could do would be to telemark non-stop for 11 hours. Here, where I am in Japan, so I am in a ski resort called Niseko. The ski resort is open 12 hours a day. Oof. From 8 to 8. So last season, I could say I had a lot of time. So I just telemark. And I was amazed the first day that when I checked the clock, I was like, oh, they just closed the resort, and I opened it this morning. So which means I've been 11 hours on telemark non-stop. My only breaks were to go to the bathroom.
Wow. All right. Well, you're not gonna have sore legs after going back to Saas-Fee then. If you're skiing 11 hours straight, that's heavy. Congratulations,
Yeah,
because that's an
I was so
accomplishment.
amazed I could do that.
That's amazing. That's a big day for anybody, let alone making telemark turns all day long. That's amazing.
Well, just to be honest, that's a normal day for me. I am that passionate that I would say, well, other people would say I'm crazy. I just go to the mountains and I stop skiing when they close it. When the ski patroller tells me, Diana, we will open again tomorrow.
They have to send you home. They're like, no, you
Pretty
can't.
much, yeah.
You can't keep going, Deanna. You got to actually go home and sleep, and then you have to, we all come back in the morning after we eat something, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So all the ski patrollers know you then from being there late in the evening.
All of them knows me because of that reason.
That's hilarious.
Because they see me opening the resort and they have to kick me out to be able to close it.
Oh man. Well, that's a good reason to be known. That's amazing.
Yeah, I think I like that way. Yeah.
That's cool. Well, I wanted, we've kind of gone through your history, how you got to Japan, and then how I got to know you was, I think you reached out. I'd also been seeing some stuff. This is back a year or two ago, 2020. You had started something. You had started a little organization called We Telemark, and that's kind of And this is while you're in Japan, and that's kind of how I came across. I think we corresponded about a World Telemark Day, like a World Telemark Day event that you put on. Or something like that. And I want to get into this because you're doing some really awesome stuff with your organization, and I kind of wanted you to first explain We Telemark and kind of the idea behind it. Like, how did you come up with the idea, and what's it all about?
Wow, you just asked me a bunch of questions in there, and all of them very interesting. Could we start by the real time when we I don't know, interchange a few emails? Because it wasn't 2 years ago, it was like 5 years ago, the first time we got in touch with each other.
Was it that long? Oh, I do remember that. Now that you're saying that. That was way long ago. And way before the We Telemark stuff too.
Yeah, for sure. That way before the We Telemark stuff, pretty much at the halfway throughout my professional telemark pathway, when I started organizing in-house training for the company where I was working for Telemark. And also started organizing training sessions for other people, weekly training session. Then is when we got to contact each other.
Wow.
Basically, we pull up a poster.
I remember this.
Should we go into this or we shouldn't?
I don't know. It was kind of fun. No, I remember because this is actually pretty funny. You know what's so funny? I don't even know if I connected the two things together.
Until now?
Yeah, I don't even think I connected the two things, honestly, until now that we're talking about it. I had forgotten about this. You used the Telemark skier logo on the poster, right? And
yes.
And I reached out and I was like, hey, this is our logo, like, for the magazine. Like, could you use a different logo? Like, this is like a company name. And I remember
I wasn't aware. I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah, no. I know. And I've had that happen before. No, that's funny. You probably get this email and you're like, oh my gosh, like, what's going on? You're like, I just tried to find the word telemark and I got this picture, and then all of a sudden you get this email from me like, this is a trademarked logo. You need to not use it or something. Well,
yeah, it was pretty much like that. I was so shocked because actually that poster, I didn't do the poster. I wasn't good at computers at that time. Not that I am way better now. So my boss, who was also into telemarketing, she got it done for me and then sent it to me for me to post it on the social media. So I posted. I didn't know where she took it from. I just thought, oh, my ski school director is super talented on computer stuff. That's what I thought. And then you reach out to me, kind of, telling me off a little bit. And I was like, oh my goodness, where am I? Where am I going?
No.
So I reached out to my ski school director saying, what's happening? Why is he telling me off? Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I'm sorry for for scaring you back then.
You were very nice on that email. You just said, this is the company logo, but we are very happy that you guys are promoting the sport. But could you please use another logo so it doesn't get so people don't get confused?
Yeah,
that's what you said.
No, totally. Well, that's good. I'm glad I was nice. I'm glad I was nice, and we've reconnected with a new friendship later.
Well, so because of all that, then I got to know you. So I got to look for your website, for your magazine, and that's how later, years after that, I contact you to say, hey, I'm working on this We Telemark project. Would you be interested in helping promoting what we're doing? And would you mind if we use the World Telemark Day logo in order to do an event here where we are? That's how we reconnected.
Yep. And I remember that. And you actually had like a really good group, because I came across that video that you put up on YouTube the other day for that World Telemark Day event. It was really cool to see, and just, I love when people start stuff like you're doing, because it really does take it takes way more effort. And I'm always saying that on the podcast with people, putting on an event, even if you don't start an organization, putting on one event, one day for like 5 or 6 hours is a lot of work. People don't realize that, so. It
is a lot of work, and I didn't know anything about that. That was the first ever event I've organized. And I remember talking to you afterwards saying, that was so hard. It was so hard, seriously.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, but it takes a lot of, if you've never done one before, any sort of event like that, it's a lot of, it's just a lot of energy, right? Like before,
a lot of energy and a lot of your time. Yeah. Because you gotta contact everyone. You gotta motivate people to go to the events.
That's the hardest part, right? Like then you do all. That's so funny that you said that. We were talking about that with something else the other day. It's like, you go to all this work, and like with a ski event, you've got to get a hold of the resort, and you've got to get the times, and you've got to get the insurance in a lot of cases, and then you try to, you do all the hard work, and then you get to the point where you're like, okay, now I need people. And the sad part with events a lot of times is you want your friends to all come, but sometimes they're not the people that show up. You're thinking that people are going to show up are like your closest friends or whatever. And building community like you're doing, it's not easy, it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it took me a lot of work. Like basically organizing that event and organizing the following event took a lot of energy, but I had a lot of fun. I loved it. Like maybe I was stressed while organizing it, but the outcome was amazing. That's why I'm gonna organize another one.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. That's well, and I remember we talked. So we Telemark is kind of, I guess, what is the objective? Because you've put events on. I want to get into the other stuff, but is it kind of events and media that you want to focus on, or is it just kind of loose and there's all sorts of different things that you could do? I mean, overall, it's to promote Telemark.
Yeah.
I guess that's the main objective.
Yeah, sure. Main objective is to make Telemark more visible and more accessible, for sure. Promotion.
Yeah.
Well, I put up together with Telemark as a way of naming everything that I was doing. I got to this beautiful logo throughout the drawing on a letter of a friend of mine, someone who learned telemarketing with me. She fell in love with the sport. And then when she left Niseko, she gave me a letter with this little drawing, and so it became the logo. In a sense of like what I am trying to introduce in here is that we Telemark happened or started because of teamwork. Everybody is working together, right? That's what we want. We want everyone to Telemark, and throughout the personal experience of everyone is how it happens, right? Pretty much. So yeah, we Telemark wants to do training sessions. It does training sessions, weekly training sessions, all levels. It has its own retail pool of equipment with boots, skis, with binding, everything 75 mil, because it's what I came across with. The pool is little by little getting bigger. I don't have all the sizes, but I have a big range in between 22 Mondo Point all the way up to 29. And I have like 9 skis, 15 boots that we use. So all the training sessions are provided with equipment, everything included, and everything for free to everyone. No matter where they coming from, where are they working, it doesn't matter. So a part of all the training sessions to teach people to Telemark and welcome them into the world, the tele world. This goes together with my new hobby of editing and making movies. We realized that in this new society we're living in, promotion by posting on social media is really important, and making videos is something that attracts a lot of people. Getting people's attention throughout short, educational, fun videos is really good. So that's why we kind of went into that world, also the editing, promoting and creating social media posts and stuff like that. So yeah, I could say that we Telemark is like an octopus, like spreading throughout different worlds, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you got your hands in a lot of different things. I mean, and I think that first part of what you're doing is amazing. Like, you're putting on events, not easy to do, but gets people together. Like there's a lot of people that are kind of doing what you're doing. They're getting rentals, rental equipment and sharing it with people. And it's kind of like that journey you went on. I mean, if someone sees Telemark and they're inspired, at least they've got some equipment nearby. You know, they're not going to have to go for 8 years and wait until they find the boots in the high mountains of the Pyrenees before they can go back to Sasve and try it out. You know what I mean? So, I think that's amazing. But, and that's what's really important. But But I'm glad you started touching on the video editing portion. And I agree. I mean, social media is great because people love watching videos and stuff. But
Yeah.
that was the next thing that you kind of mentioned to me, and I started seeing some of the stuff you were putting up is you're making a movie, and like not just Instagram edit, but you're actually making a movie. And
yes, yeah.
Before we wrap up, I want you to tell us about this because I think this is pretty exciting, and we're starting to see more of this happening. People are starting to make movies, Telemark movies again. I think it's amazing. So, yeah, tell the listeners a little bit about what you got going on with the movie and what it's all about.
Yeah. So I'm super happy you brought this up. I'm super stoked. We are working on a documentary that it started because of all the show editing that we were doing with Telemark. And suddenly I came up with the idea of why don't we make a longer video? So it's my new hobby. I really like and I'm enjoying doing it. And it's also a challenge. It's a massive challenge. And I like it. So yeah, I came up with this idea of there's a bunch of women around the planet doing what I'm doing. There's a bunch of powerful, motivated, enthusiastic women promoting the sport. Why not to get together and put out a movie? So we promote it together. So the movie is called Telemarqueras. It's a documentary about why we fell in love with the sport and why we carry on doing it. Last year in April 2021, I posted a few of the first teasers of this project, giving sort of a little bit of an idea of what is all about. And then throughout this Northern Hemisphere summer, I've been working hard into putting the team together, a technical team, talents team, and it's happening, Josh. It's really happening. I'm so stoked. Finalizing the documentary proposal to present to different brands and sponsors to see if we can get a little bit of help and someone to interested in being part of the project. And we'll present the first section of the project. So the project is going to be divided in two main sections. Telemarqueras presentation and Telemarqueras documentary, and the idea is to present it to movie festivals when the full project is done, and also to publish on magazine prints the interviews, the team interviews, and promote a little bit of each of the team members and each of the personal work they're doing. Together, like everyone who collaborates in this project will be promoted. Like there's a lot of people helping, a lot of photographer, a lot of videographer. So yeah, we have divided like the talents team and the behind the scene team, and a lot of them, like let's say 90% of the crew, they are all telemarketers.
That's cool. And I love that you're doing this. It's so cool. And the fact that it's all women is even more amazing because, and you've probably seen this. I mean, I know we've dealt with this on our end. It's like people are always like, well, where are the women telemarketers? And I'm like,
We are here.
they're here. But sometimes like our Free Heel Life, everyone that works there, it's a bunch of dudes. You know what I mean? And it's not for. Mm-hmm. It's just worked out that way now. You know, I mean, but I think it's super important what you're doing because it really brings to light. There are amazing, and there always have been. There's always been amazing women in telemark that are doing great stuff. And you know, it's like telemark in general. I think there's kind of phases. You know, it's kind of like the movie thing. There used to be a lot of telemark movies, and then there's no telemark movies. And now you're starting to see more people putting stuff together. Like you, Telemark Colorado, Ty Dayberry, you know, like all these guys are putting out these longer format than Instagram, but they're still probably shorter movies. So one question I had is so you've got a couple different women. I think there's like 5 main ones, if I remember right. Which countries are represented? Because I'm kind of curious. Like, I don't know if I know any of them or familiar, but I'm kind of curious. Like, which countries were you able to kind of put it together? Because you guys are kind of all working remotely, I think, on this, right?
Yeah, so this is something that I wanted to say. Thank you for bringing it up. So we are, the final team is 5 women from around the world. And with that, I wanted to represent the continents where we can telemark. I had to shorten it up. I couldn't get involved anyone from Australia or New Zealand or anyone from Argentina. But there's nationalities like Italian, France, Switzerland, and Czech Republic, and the US. Spanish also.
That's awesome.
I will tell you the name on the next podcast.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely want to have. I think this will be a reoccurring thing because as you're doing more projects, I definitely want to be able to have you on, and I think once you kind of get the documentary and the presentation out to people, it'll be really fun to have you back on and kind of just get feedback, you know, and.
Yeah, I would love to.
And hopefully this reaches some new people that are curious about it. Hopefully women, you know, that can get inspired by this too. I think it's great what you're doing. I think it's going to inspire a lot of other people, men and women alike, to maybe pick up and just, like you said, it's like your new favorite hobby. You know, it's not like you came from a movie making background or something, but you're figuring it out and you're finding the right people to collaborate with. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's the goal. We want as many people as possible to try telemark, for sure. That's why we're doing this.
I love it. Well, I think that's a good spot to end. I think thank you so much for spending the time. I think what you've got going on there with We Telemark, Telemarkeras, like, I think it's amazing, and definitely wish you all the luck. And thanks for having the energy to do it. You know, it's not easy. So
thank you.
I hope everybody that's listening will check out what you're doing, and where can, I guess that's a good note to end on, is where is the best place for people to find you online?
We Telemark has a Facebook page, an Instagram account, an Instagram profile, and a YouTube account. And we are working on a website, but not yet. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, where there's all the videos that we have done so far. They are in the YouTube account. There's a few pictures of what We Telemark has been doing last season on the Instagram account, and a lot of information on the Facebook group.
Awesome. Yeah, and
Facebook page.
I'll put the links to those in the show notes so people can check them out and have an easy way of finding you. And
that would be awesome. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, Deanna, thanks for being here. Really appreciate your time and wishing you all the luck as you're starting a new season there in Japan with all your projects.
Thank you so much for having me here. It has been an absolute pleasure. Let's do this again soon.
Okay, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
You bet. Well, first off, big thanks to Deanna for taking the time to get on the horn and talk about what she's up to. And such a fantastic conversation. I get so stoked when people just get these things going. She's obviously dedicated. There was so much to talk and go through her life. And obviously she's dedicated herself to snow sports and being in the mountains, teaching people these different disciplines on snow. And obviously incredibly passionate about Telemark. I love that side of it, but also the We Telemark stuff, the Telemarqueras stuff that she's doing with the documentary. I think that stuff's fantastic. And yeah, we need more people. There's so many great stories to be told out there. And I always want to, use these opportunities. Hopefully you listening out there get as inspired as I do, even me doing this long. I love that initial passion you feel from people when they start stuff, and hopefully that gets you fired up, maybe to start a little hobby, or maybe you want to focus on your little area. And I think you don't have to bite off these huge things. You don't have to go making a documentary or whatever. Maybe it's just getting people together for World Telemark Day like we were talking about and whatnot. Also was a funny story about how we met. I had kind of forgotten about that, and so I'm glad there was some friendly email exchange way back when. Sometimes I get caught off guard with that stuff, so it's kind of funny. Just keeping track of it all. So sometimes I'm a little forgetful. I'd like to think I'm not getting so old I forget everything, but it does happen on occasion. So anyways, I'm glad we reconnected on that, and super fun to talk. And thank you, Deanna, for taking the time to do that and getting up so early to chat on the podcast. So, as always, remind you, sign up for the mailing list. It's in the show notes if you're not a part of it. This is where you're going to get that information first and foremost from the Free Heel Life family, and you can become a true Free Heel Lifer. It's important. It's important. Also, I don't want you spending all your days scrolling through social media, even though we post cool stuff on there. The mailing list, it's good. You get it once a week, kind of tunes you into what you may be interested in, and it's great. So do that. Connect with us. Mailing list. It's awesome. Other ways to support us. We obviously want to be your preferred Telemark shop at Free Heel Life. You can find us at freeheellife.com. You can hit up the team at customer service at freeheellife.com. Open Tuesday through Friday, noon until 7 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. until 7 p.m. Get your goodies. Closed on Sundays and Mondays, but always shipping stuff out. So if you don't live near Salt Lake, we still got you. Telemarkskier.com. Great articles going up there every week. Craig Dossie at the helm. Telemark Skier Magazine's got an amazing history. We relaunched it this summer. We would love for you to also be part of that aspect of our Free Heel Life family and become a subscriber. You can do monthly or you can do annual. We just want you there. Help us grow that community. Help us grow Telemark Skier Magazine back up to what it always should be. And that's what we want. And that's why we're doing it, is so there is media for Telemark specifically so we can talk about gear, reviews, and all the good stuff. You can always email me at podcast@freeheellife.com. I've been putting it out there the last week or two. If you've got an event, a clinic, something going on at your mountain, whatever, let me know. Hit me up at podcast@freeheellife.com with all the details, and I will help spread the word like wildfire across the Telemark land, and we'll get it done. So yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Telemark's rad. And until next week, spread Telemark always, my friends. See you later.